Head on over to your favorite podcast app and subscribe to Birdland Tonight to get the audio of this show every morning ready for your commute. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Make sure that you have subscribed to us on your favorite social media. Look up Birdland Sports on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Like, follow, retweet, share. See you in a moment.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Birdland Tonight. This is our first regular season installment of Birdland Tonight here. I'm Paul Valley, hosting our first ever post-game show. Joining me is Joe Chambers. Joe, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Paul. I'm just happy starting the season 1-0.
Yeah, it was a great performance all the way around. John Means goes 7 innings of 1 hit ball, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He throws 97 pitches, 65 for strikes. The only hit he gave up was the leadoff hitter of the game, and that was Kike Hernandez. He picked him off at first base. Only faced 3 batters in the first inning. He was off and running. Retired the last 18 batters that he faced to finish his day. Orioles get that win 3-0. What did you see from Means today that you liked?
I really liked Means' control. He seemed like he was in the game, focused. I mean, like you said, first hit was the first batter, and after that, he just was phenomenal. I mean, I felt so good when he was pitching in terms of feeling safe with the lead. And then when Mountcastle hit that huge double, I was like, I thought that was gone, first of all. I thought that was a shot and a half. And just seeing how well Means was composed for his first at-bat, and then for the first at-bat, and then for the whole rest of the 7 innings, it was just really great to see him so consistent.
It was definitely something to see. And if you recall, the Orioles found themselves in a very similar situation last year. The season started on a Friday in Fenway against Nathan Eivaldi. And that game did not turn out in the Orioles' favor. They lost that one 13-2, a completely different story in this game today for the Orioles. Again, John Means dominant. The bullpen comes in and they do their job. Tanner Scott, he gets out of the 8th inning despite 2 walks. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And Cesar Valdez with that dead fish changeup comes into the game and works a A scoreless ninth inning, does give up the double to J.D. Martinez, but nothing else. And the Orioles get the win 3-0. You mentioned the Ryan Mountcastle double. And Ryan Mountcastle is a professional hitter. And if you haven't seen him play yet, fans, this guy is somebody that you're going to want to watch. I think it speaks to the fact to how good of a hitter he is, that he's 24 years old. He has 33 professional games under his belt, and he's batting cleanup on a major league team on opening day in his first full season. The guy's a professional hitter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just seeing him, this was his first opening day because last year during the short season due to COVID, he came in, middle of the season, late middle season, around that time. Am I right, Paul?
Just about mid-season. They let him get his feet under him at the alternate training site in Bowie, and then he came up and got started and never stopped.
Yeah, and just relaying off of that, look at Cedric Mullins when he led off the game with a checked swing, and it turned into a base hit to start the game. Yeah,
It's funny because I watched the very first pitch of the game was a 99-mile-an-hour fastball in the inner third of the plate by Nathan Eivaldi. And I almost tweeted out, "Oh man, Cedric doesn't have a chance here." And then he checks swing, cues one off the fist. It goes down the third baseline. He beats it out for an infield single. Actually, there was nothing to beat out. There was no throw on the play. Then Trey Mancini comes up, and Trey Mancini's the story of the day, right?
Absolutely.
The Orioles get the win, and John Means has a stellar performance. But the real story is Trey Mancini playing in his first regular season game since 2019, since he was last spring. For everybody knows, last spring he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in spring training, missed the entire truncated season, comes out today, and step one is complete for Trey. He gets back into a regular season lineup, first game jitters. First 2 at-bats weren't the results that we were looking for. He grounded into 2 double plays, 2 at-bats, 4 outs. Not exactly what you're looking for, but just to get Trey Mancini back on the field, back in this lineup, hitting in the heart of the Orioles order, was something to see, and that's going to be a storyline throughout this year, is it not?
Absolutely. Disregard his first 2 at-bats. It's just the fact that he's back playing is the most important thing. Coming back from battling cancer and just being able to play baseball. And, he actually got a hit today too. So
yeah,
just seeing him on the first game in the full season, getting an at-bat and getting a hit after what he had to go through is pretty remarkable.
Well, yeah, Trey, after those first 2 at-bats, he comes up his third plate appearance, has a little bit better of an at-bat, takes a walk, and actually is part of that 6th-run inning. He scored the second run on the Ryan Mountcastle double. Bases loaded, Mountcastle coming to the plate, works a 3-1 count. There's a pitch off the outside corner that it was a ball. It was a ball, but Joe West calls it a strike. He misses it. Next pitch, Mountcastle hits a high off the green monster for the 2-run double. That scores Severino, scores Trey Mancini, and the Orioles never looked back. They added on a tack-on run there in the 8th inning on Anthony Santander RBI single after the Trey Mancini base hit. From this offense today, now look, they faced Nathan Eivaldi 3 times last year. He was 3-0 with 2 earned runs allowed in 19 innings with 18 strikeouts, and more the same from Eivaldi today. 5 1/3 innings pitched. He struck out 4, gave up just the 1 earned run, but he actually took the loss, something he didn't do against the Orioles at all last year. Takes the loss on the opening day just by giving up that 1 run. What did you see from the Orioles offense today? Because despite the fact that they were kind of held down for much of the day, I did not see too many bad at-bats from this lineup, save for Austin Hayes' first 2 at-bats and maybe Mountcastle's first at-bat. Other than that, I thought that the Orioles were not overly aggressive at the plate. They ran a lot of full counts, saw a lot of pitches. I thought they did an overall nice job against a really talented pitcher in Nathan Eivaldi.
Yeah, the O's were, a big start out, trying to get some hits were a little bit challenging. And then once it got middle of the game, late game, we were getting those hits. And, I think Eivaldi going out. And when I was tracking stats, I was looking at my stats after doing the game. Looking at Eivaldi at the end of each inning compared to Means, he was throwing 10 more pitches. So they're actually doing really good work in their at-bats. And that's what you need in MLB, I think. It's just working your at-bat. Don't go in, first swing pitch. We all know the first swing pitch, probably the best thing in Orioles history was Delman Young's double down the left field line. I can actually recite the announcer doing that whole thing, by the way. But getting back to the opening day, just, seeing them working their at-bats, I think was key to getting this W.
Absolutely. And one at-bat in particular that really stands out to me, that led to another run for the Orioles in the 8th inning, was Cedric Mullins to lead off the 8th. It was a 10-pitch at-bat. He kept fouling off pitches. On the 10th pitch, he deposits a single into right field, ends up scoring on that Santander base hit. And that was kind of a microcosm of what the Orioles did in this game. And I like how you compared the two pitchers, where it seemed like Eivaldi had 10 more pitches than John Means after every inning. One thing that we saw from John Means today that we haven't seen from him much in the past was pitch efficiency. And when he would get ahead of the hitters, he didn't end up having these long battles where the guy ends up getting a base hit or gets a walk, or he fouls off 6 or 7 pitches before eventually popping out. He was putting guys away, maybe not with the strikeout, but getting guys to put the ball in play, pitching to contact, letting the defense play behind him. And the defense did their job. And when you can keep your defense active and on their toes, it's going to make your entire team a lot better.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. Absolutely.
So, and we just mentioned Cedric Mullins. He had himself a nice game. He had 2 singles today, a run scored. Cedric Mullins, to me, heading into this season, profiled as a 4th outfielder who you probably see actually play 3, maybe 4 times a week in different spots. But it looks like, just based off this opening day lineup, that they're going to want to get Cedric Mullins in that lineup as much as possible, because he seems to be, at least through one game and through the spring, a solid table setter. He led the majors with 9 infield, with 9 bunt singles last year. So he can get on base and use his speed to his advantage. Plays really solid defense. Didn't misplay a single ball. Seemed to track down everything today. What are your hopes for Cedric Mullins? Is he going to be batting leadoff more often than not this year? Is this the guy that the Orioles have who might be their next great leadoff hitter?
I think he'll definitely be a good leadoff hitter, comparing him to Nick Markakis a little bit. Just how well, they bat from the right side, though the left side. So, they're just, the potential for Mullins right now is really good. He's been with the team that's been, we're in the rebuilding process. But seeing Mullins today, I like how his first game was, getting the first game jitters out of the way. And, just seeing how they came back yesterday from, a postponement. So that's why they played today. And then now they're going to play for, what is it, like a couple days, and then they have a break again, I'm assuming?
They actually play 6 games in a row from today through next Wednesday, 3 in Boston, 3 in New York. And I'm sorry, it's actually 7 games in a row, because then they have the home opener next Thursday against the Red Sox before that built-in off day. In case of inclement weather like we had yesterday in Boston, they have that off day built in for the Orioles home opener next Friday. So that's their next day off before concluding that series against Boston on Saturday and Sunday. So, Cedric Mullins had a nice start. Didn't really seem to show a ton of jitters in this game. The guy who did, to me, was Austin Hayes. And Austin Hayes played with his hair on fire all spring, trying to prove to everybody that he's not a platoon guy. This is a guy who is going to be who's going to be an everyday player. And he proved that this spring. Hit .391, 4 homers, a few doubles, led the team in RBIs and hits. But then he comes out today, and this was something that I saw from Austin Hayes last year, where at the beginning of the year, it seemed the moment was a little too big for him. He finds himself in a 2-strike hole in each of his first 2 at-bats, chases 2 fastballs out of the zone to strike out in each of those first 2 at-bats. I liked his approach a lot better in the third at-bat. Even though he flew out to right field, he took a couple of pitches, waited to get his pitch, got the barrel on the baseball, but just got under a little bit out to right. And then he strikes out again in his 4th at-bat. I don't think that that's what we're going to see from Austin Hayes the majority of the time, but it seemed to me that maybe the moment at the beginning of the year is a little bit too big for Austin Hayes, because he's trying to prove that he belongs, but I feel like he's already done that.
Yeah, he does belong. He just was one of those guys that is up and coming, like Mountcastle, is trying to make his point to Brandon Hyde, just showing him, he's worth to be able to stay in this lineup for a long time.
Yeah, this is a guy who the Orioles have batting 6th today, and when he bats towards the lower third of the order, he tends to do better. They tried batting him leadoff a bunch last year, and it didn't really work out too well. He seems to be he seems to do better when there's not as much pressure to set the table. I expect to see him probably move up maybe to fifth in this lineup if you continue to have somebody like Mancini or Santander bat second. But that also hinges on if DJ Stewart comes back healthy next week, where are you going to bat him? And then you could see Hayes move all over this lineup throughout this season. Another guy, Rio Ruiz. He started the last 2 games of spring training at second base. Brandon Hyde said don't read too much into that. I actually did read into that. I thought to myself, he's starting him at second base these last 2 games for a reason. And sure enough, he's starting at second base today. And, Joe, it looked like he belonged. He went out there, 2 over-the-shoulder, reaching out grabs on pop-ups that were highlight reel plays. Then in the 8th inning, on a ground ball by, I want to say it was, I can't remember who the batter was off the top of my head, but it was a nice diving. Oh, it was Verdugo in the 7th inning. It was to lead off the inning. John Means, he comes out the 7th inning at 77 pitches, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, this is a base hit. He might be taken out of the game. Nope, there's Rio Ruiz. Diving play in the hole, gets up, throws a strike over the first base. They get the out. Next thing you know, Means has a 3-up, 3-down inning, again, retiring 18 batters in a row to end his day. And the Orioles go on to win the game. How good did Rio Ruiz look at second base? And is this a role you expect him to fill more often than not after seeing his game today?
I really like how Rio Ruiz played today. Just like, early in the game, like you were mentioning, just running out into the outfield. Like I saw a stat on Madden saying he reached like almost 25 miles per hour sprinting for those.
Wow.
And I was like, man, that's impressive. And, just seeing how it shows that if our outfielder can't get there right away, we got a good chance with Rio Ruiz getting there. And, because there were some times I thought those balls were going to drop. I really did. And I'm just seeing him just over the shoulder, just getting them out was really impressive for me. And I really like that. I think I see Rio Ruiz definitely being in second base for a good amount of time.
Yeah, it's certainly, and look, when DJ Stewart comes back, DJ Stewart isn't coming off the injured list to go down to the minor leagues. He's going to be on this major league roster. He's one of the better OBP guys, showed a lot of power, not just towards the end of last year, but in spring training this year, despite the fact that he hasn't played since March 5th. He might do a rehab assignment, or maybe not a rehab assignment, but he might go to the alternate training site to get his feet under him. But this is a guy who's going to be on the major league roster. And I've thought since for the last couple of weeks that when he comes back, Ruiz is the odd man out, especially since they got Maikel Franco. It's up to Ruiz to keep himself on this roster. And his play today is a reason why he could still be here when Stewart gets back. But look, he's going to need to swing the bat. People know that he can play defense. Despite some of the shortcomings last year, where I think he took some of his offensive struggles into the infield, people know that he can play defense. So, yeah, it was nice to see him make those defensive plays, those highlight reel plays, but he's got to come out and swing the bat. It's day one. He's got more games to get under his belt before they have to make a decision on this roster. And I think he might hit just enough to keep himself part of the Orioles' plans this year. Now, people that are certainly part of the Orioles' plans this season are in that bullpen. And you're looking at Tanner Scott, who came in to work the 8th today, and Cesar Valdez, who came in to work the 9th. Let's talk about Tanner Scott first, because he has maybe the most dynamic arm, if not on the entire team, at least in that entire bullpen. Can touch 98, 99 with his fastball, has a wipeout slider that sits in the low 90s. And he comes out and he strikes out the first batter he faces on an absolutely filthy slider to begin the 8th inning. No, I'm sorry. Excuse me. It's 2-2 on Devers to begin the 8th inning. He throws a slider that hits the outside corner. Looks like it's a perfect painted pitch on the corner. Joe West calls to the ball. He walks Devers on the next pitch. Then he gets Renfroe with the strikeout on the filthy slider. Renfroe 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts today. But Tanner Scott, 2 walks in that 8th inning. Despite having maybe the most electric arm on the team, he's not coming out to pitch in that 9th inning in that closer's role. And is that because, Joe, he has a propensity to walk a lot of batters? He averaged 6.5 walks per 9 in 2019, went down to 4.5 last year, but for his career, it's a 5.5. Do the Orioles not trust him in the 9th inning until he proves he can get that control under control?
I think he needs to get his control under control right now because, I was reading right now. I was doing all the stats of terms of looking at pitch speeds and everything. And if you look at his first batter he faced, 0-1, 96 miles an hour, 1-1, 97, 2-1, 90 miles per hour, 97, 2-2. Full count, he threw a 97-mile-an-hour pitch, and then he walked at 98. So he can throw gas. Like, that's not a problem. But he's got, when you throw gas, you got to make sure you can locate him. And I don't think he should be a closer yet. Give him a few, maybe a month or two, maybe even 3, and then we'll see how it goes. But Valdez, he did good too, but I think Scott would be a better fit in my personal opinion.
Scott may have the better arm and maybe the better fit down the road, but let's talk about Valdez for a little bit. Had an ERA of about 1.26 last year coming out of that Orioles bullpen. Was 3 for 3 in saves. Now, prior to the 2020 season, Brandon Hyde said the same things he was saying all spring this year, and that's that there's no closer, that it's basically a closer by committee, and then we saw him use Cole Sulser in that role until Sulser lost the role for lack of control. He says the same things this year. We don't have a set closer on this team. And most rebuilding teams don't have a set closer because how often are you going to have those closing opportunities? But we saw Valdez, who didn't blow a save last year, come into a save opportunity today, gets the strikeout, gets the ground out, gives up the double, but then gets the fly out to end the game. Going through the heart of that order, 1, 2, 3, 4, he sets him down in the 9th inning. Is this a sign of things to come? Are we looking at Cesar Valdez maybe holding on to this role to start the year until somebody else comes and takes it from him?
I agree with you 100%. I think right now Brandon Hyde just needs to figure out, okay, put guys in different situations, how they hold, guys like with Valdez, like you're mentioning, seeing how his 4 batters got him out, but JD Martinez with that double, so now we're one guy, we got a double, and then just seeing how he progressed, is promising. And he only threw, I believe it was 2 80-mile-an-hour pitches. Now it's 85 in his 14 pitches he threw. So he doesn't throw a lot of, fast. So he doesn't throw the ball really fast. But, my worry is if he puts a guy on base that's a speedy runner, that might stolen base, he might get the second or third. And that's my only worry about that.
Yeah, you make a solid point there. If your fastball's topping out at 85 at the absolute max, and you're throwing a lot of 75 to 78 mile an hour changeups, and somebody gets on base, now it depends on who the base runner is too. You're not JD Martinez, for example, isn't going to be stealing third after that double, especially if it would have been the third out. But you know what I mean. If he gets on base, he's not going to go steal second base on anybody. But if you let Xander Bogaerts or Kike Hernandez get on base, and then you throw a 76-mile-an-hour changeup, there's a good chance they could take off and get into scoring position. And if it's a 1 or 2 run game, that's a big deal. So there's something to be thought about with that. Right now, though, that dead fish changeup, it's something that he's developed late in his career, makes his first opening day roster at 36 years old. Cesar Valdez proving that he, just like Mountcastle and Hayes and Tanner Scott and Cedric Mullins, proving that he belongs on this roster. And the Orioles, they were a top 10 unit out of their bullpen last year, and they're off to the races again this year, looking like so far through the first game, like they're picking up where they left off. Now, that's just about going to do it for us here on Birdland tonight, unless there's something that we missed that you think we need to cover, Joe.
Just looking forward to a great season. Yep. No matter what happens, it's great to see baseball back with fans in the stands. This is great. This is what we've all been waiting for a whole year. Baseball missed out on it last year except for the playoffs, but seeing fans in Oriole Park at Camden Yards is going to be amazing. Just seeing that, even if it's not a full stadium, seeing 11,000 at least on on Thursday, it's going to be amazing. And I just can't wait to work with every one of us on Birdland tonight. You're a great guy. I'm really looking forward to working with you further on.
Yeah, it's going to be a good season. Maybe we won't see as many wins like we did today. Maybe we will. Nobody really knows about this starting rotation. John Means, he finished last year 4 impressive starts. Today, arguably the most impressive start of his entire career. And he did something today that he didn't do once in 2020, and that's go 7 innings. He hadn't gone 7 innings since 2019 when he did it 4 or 5 times. really off to a great start for him. Orioles off to a great start with a 3-0 win, a 2-hitter over the Boston Red Sox, who are looking to make their way back to the playoffs after a down year where they finished in last place in 2020. Tomorrow's games at 1:10 airing on MASN. You're going to see Orioles number 2 starter, the Dark Knight, maybe the Dark Knight rises, in Matt Harvey going up against Tanner Houck for the Red Sox before the series concludes in the finale on Easter Sunday, another 1:10 p.m. start where you're going to see Maryland native and Loyola product Bruce Zimmerman facing off against new Red Sox pitcher Garrett Richards. Should be a solid matchup. And hey, the Orioles looking to win a series. It's a lot easier to win a series when you win game 1. So we'll see if they can come back and take game 2. If not game 2, take game 3 and try and win a series to start the year. That's going to do it for us here on Birdland tonight. Our first of many post-game shows. Join us again tomorrow afternoon, right after the game, 5 minutes after the last out. You'll have creator of the show, host Josh Soroka, who couldn't make the show today, being joined by Andrew Stecca to host the post-game show tomorrow night. Until then, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Paul Valley. This has been Joe Chambers, and this has been Birdland Tonight. See you next time.